Okay, so when I was younger, my best friend and I, we were in our early 20s and we lived in the same apartment complex. And we would always go to each other's apartments to hang out and, just hang out, girl time. And we got to where we were watching movies every weekend. Not every weekend, but like every Sunday or whatever. And so we decided that we were going to start watching all these scary movies like every weekend, but like the older movies, because like I said, this was from when I was in my early 20s. And so we were watching like Salem's Lot, Amityville Horror. And so there was one movie that me and her like were really, really, really scared of, and like the bitch still scares me to this day, and it's The Exorcist. And so we were like, you know what, let's just watch it. We'll have all the lights on, we'll have each other here, to comfort each other, and let's just sit down and let's just watch this movie. And so we had seen bits and pieces of it from when we were younger growing up, but we had never really seen it from start to finish because we were just so scared that we just wouldn't watch it. So it comes to the day where we go to Blockbuster and we go and rent this movie on VHS. And I'm at her house where we ordered pizza. We're eating pizza, drinking soda, popcorn, getting all comfy. We're watching this movie. And so we're both watching it and we're like, let's just get it over with. Let's just watch it, So I'm watching the video. I'm like facing the TV, but my eyes are like looking down to the right for like the majority of the movie because I'm so scared that I don't want to watch it. But I don't want her to know that I'm that scared that I can't even watch it even in front of her. So then I turn my head to look at her, and she's doing the same thing. Both of us are down looking like away, like like I'm not gonna watch, I'm too scared. Like we could hear it, but we weren't looking at it, because if you haven't seen that movie, it's scary. And it was made like, I don't even know what year it was made, but probably 1973, 1979, 1980, I don't know, around there. And for it being that old of a movie and not having like the special effects that we have today in this day and age, that movie is still scary. Like if you were to release it at the theaters now, I think it would still freak a lot of people out and scare a lot of people. And I think that what makes it even more scary is that I'm thinking that it's based on true story, something that happened to a little boy, or like to a true story. Not all of it, obviously, but bits and pieces and parts are based on actual events, supposedly, to a boy. I don't really know all the facts, but anyhow, I'm like, hey, you're not even watching it. And so I'm like, that's okay, because I'm not even watching it either. So we ended up not watching the rest of it. And so then she was on her computer like a day or two later, and we're just hanging out. Well, her computer, she got on some kind of website that she got a virus on her computer. And so that virus, what would happen was the Exorcist face would pop up on the screen and like growl. That was what would happen, right? So she's there on the computer and I'm just hanging out in her room, probably putting on makeup or playing with makeup or something. And so she's on the computer, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, I'm talking to her and I'm looking at her, and I see that the Exorcist face pops up, and she's like so scared. Like she's even more scared than me, and I'm a pretty big scaredy cat when it comes to certain things. So she screams and she puts her hand on the side of the computer and she shoves it against the wall, and the computer like rolls off her desk onto the floor and is just there on the floor. And she's like, no! And she hits the computer, and I was like, oh my god, what was that? And then she starts crying and she's like, who would do that to me? Who would do that to me? And I'm like, I don't know, I think it's a virus. Like I don't think somebody did it to you. And so she was all like traumatized because The Exorcist popped up on her computer, and she was like, my computer's possessed. I don't want to use it anymore. Like, I want to return it. I want to get a new computer, just because of that virus that came up with the Exorcist face. So then a couple of days later, we're at her house hanging out again, and she's checking her voicemail on her phone, her house phone, because this is when we still had house phones. And so she has a message, but she doesn't have a phone number because it's a private number or unavailable. Well, the voicemail is sounds of like growling, like a person growling and grunting, and it sounds like scary. So she's listening to her messages, and all of a sudden she throws the phone. And she's like, no, and she throws the phone, and I look at her and I'm like, what? She goes, and she starts crying, and she goes, oh my God, who would do that to me? Who would do that? Did you do that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, oh my God, I just got like a possessed message on my phone. And she's crying, and how could anybody be so evil and so mean, and like, you know, all this bad luck's happening to her. And so I'm like, what are you talking about? So I get the phone, and so I'm listening to the message, and it does sound like, I can't even recreate the sounds. It's just like, I can't even do it. Like, I don't know, like, I can't even do it. It's so silly, but it's just like a grunting and a growling. It sounds like The Exorcist. Like, we had just seen The Exorcist movie not that long ago. Then The Exorcist pops up on her computer a couple of days after that. Then a couple of days after that, she gets this message voicemail on her phone, and it's a grunting and a growling and like grr. I don't know. It just sounded, I could see how it just sounded really ugly, and I was kind of freaked out too. So then her neighbor comes over, forget her name, Mrs. Love, but I can't remember her first name. She comes over, and she, I don't remember what the reason was, but Ronnie is still upset and crying. And she's like, what's going on? What happened? And she was like, I'm just having a lot of bad luck, and a lot of things are happening to me. And I just got a very disturbing message on my phone, and I don't know. I'm just so upset. I don't know what to do. Like, do I change my number? Do I move? Like, some things are just happening to me. And I think like she was really thinking like maybe her house was haunted, or something was after her, right? Something was out to get her. And I can see and understand why, you know, because we're watching the movie. You know how they say don't play with the Ouija board because you're inviting it into your home? So, you know, we're watching this scary movie, and then The Exorcist pops up on her computer, and then she hears this growling on her phone. So then her friend is like, real, doesn't believe in like stuff like that. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no such thing. Let me hear the message. So we give her the phone, and she's listening to the message, and she's listening to it, and she's replaying it over and over and over. And she's like, hold on a minute. And so she goes outside, because it's like a cordless cell phone. I mean, not a cell phone, a cordless phone, a wireless phone. And so she goes outside, and she calls her husband, or her fiance. And so he comes, and she's like, listen to this voicemail. And so he's listening to it over and over, and she goes, does it sound familiar to you? And he was like, I'm not sure, kind of, I don't know why, what do you think? And she goes, does it sound like Billy? And so Billy is her son, who's like 3 years old. And so she goes, when did the message come through? And so she was like, I don't remember if it was that night or that morning, like at a certain time. So she goes, hold on. So she thinks that it's her son, because she says it sounds like her son. So then she goes to her house, and she looks at the history on her phone, like the message, not the messages, but the calls out. And there's a call that went out to my friend's phone at that same exact time that she got the message. And so she remembers that her son was playing in his room with his dinosaurs, and that he likes to play with the phone. You know how babies are, kids or toddlers, they like to mess with phones, push buttons and everything. So apparently what had happened was her 3-year-old was in his room playing with dinosaurs, and he had the phone messing with the phone, pushing the buttons. Apparently, he redialed the last number that was called, which was the neighbor calling my friend. And so the voicemail picks up because my friend doesn't answer. And it's a recording of him playing with his dinosaurs, like, rah, 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 like eating each other. And so, oh my God. So then once we knew that it was that, and then we reheard the message, then we could hear and understand that it was just a toddler playing with his dinosaurs. So she wasn't possessed. She didn't have no spirits after her. Her house was not haunted. The exorcist wasn't coming to get her, to scare her. So she didn't have to move. She didn't have to change her phone number. She didn't have to go into the witness protection program. But anyhow, yeah, I just thought that was a funny, crazy story that I thought I'd share with you guys. So anyhow, it may not be that funny to you guys. I guess you just have to be there. It's one of those where you have to be there for it to be funny. But anyhow, thanks for listening. If you like me, if you like my attitude, if you like my personality, please hit the like button and subscribe. And I will catch you guys with another story another day. Catch you on the flip side. Bye.